When it comes to choosing exercises, there's tons to choose from. So how do you decide which one's good and which one's bad? I'm a big fan of not overcomplicating exercises you choose, and there's a lot of basic exercises that work just fine. So today's video, I want to walk through ways that we can modify basic exercises that you're probably already doing to make them just a little bit better, and hopefully we help you guys understand the reasons why, and you can apply these to all the exercises you do across the board. Now, just because I'm critiquing exercises doesn't mean they don't work. At the end of the day, one of the biggest drivers behind your results and your success is simply doing the work and going to the gym. So it's enough talking. Let's get into the first exercise. So herein lies the problem with your standard side raise. At the bottom like this here, there's very little tension on that deltoid muscle, and we're in a stretched position. As we come to the top like this here, that muscle is now shortened, and this is also where we experience most of our tension. We'd want this to be the other way, so that's how we're going to try to fix this. So this is where we turn to a cable, and there's a lot of different ways we can do this. I'm going to show you a variation, and you guys can implement this how it best fits you, or depending on what you actually have. So I'm going to set this up just above my knees, and this is going to allow for more tension while this muscle is in the stretched position. Now, I like to use this hand to brace. You can stand straight up, you can lean away, you can even cross this through the legs. There's a lot of ways to do it. But what this is going to look like now is as I do my side raise, you can see that I'm actually maximizing the tension at the bottom of this movement while I'm in that stretched position. And this is a much better improved version of a side raise. So here you can see me doing a fly, and it's a pretty standard exercise. Now we're going to break this down in the same way we did the side raises. The problem with this fly is that at the top, there's very little tension. As we open up, the tension increases while in the stretched position, so that's good. So how can we modify this to make it a little bit better? Well, as you see me here, I'm stopping a little bit earlier, keeping tension on the chest throughout the motion. Now, I also am going to add in a deeper stretch with getting a little bit lower as I rep this out. Use this deeper stretch within reason. Try going with a lighter weight with a deeper stretch in a more controlled movement. This will lead to greater results in hypertrophy. Another good way to improve a fly is by using a cable machine or a pec deck machine. It just gives a better resistance profile where the tension is more consistent across the whole range of motion. So even at the top, you still have a significant amount of resistance. Now I want to take a quick look at how we can improve our arms, specifically our triceps. And understanding how we can better improve the way we train can just allow you to apply this how it best fits you. Now the triceps have three heads: the long head, the lateral, and the medial head. The lateral and the medial head act very similarly, so we'll group those two together. But the long head is a little bit different. That long head is biarticulating, or two-joint muscle, and that spans over the elbow and the shoulder. And when we elevate that shoulder in an exercise, it can lead to a greater stretch and a greater recruitment of that long head. But one of the important takeaways is that this shoulder elevation plays a big role in our triceps. Doing a movement like you see here puts a greater stimulus on the long head. But doing something like a skull crusher, where our arm is perpendicular to our torso, can lead to an altering of the stimulus for all the different heads. And do a standard tricep extension or a tricep pushdown. This is going to have a greater emphasis on the medial and the lateral heads. So this tip's really more or less just understanding the triceps a little bit better and applying these methods how it best fits for you. Now this next tip won't need a lot of explaining, but it comes to the pull downs. I see people that are trying to experience hypertrophy or get bigger make this mistake all the time, and it's one of the easiest fixes. It has to do with controlling the eccentric portion of your lift. And we know from research that the eccentric portion of the lift can yield a significant amount of hypertrophy. One of the most common problems on a pull down is that people let the weight just pull their bodies back up, just like what you can see here. And of course, this will still yield results, but since the eccentric portion is so important, having a smooth, controlled movement like you see here will yield better results when it comes to hypertrophy. I think this comes down to a lot of ego lifting sometimes, but it's a simple fix, and all you have to do is control that movement on the way back up and maybe lighten the weight a little bit, and you'll see better results. Let's move on to the next one. Now this tip comes down to the legs and specifically the quad muscles. If we want to see bigger growth in the quads, there's a little trick that we can implement to help increase that growth. While looking at my form here, it looks like I'm doing this correct, and I would agree, this is a correct way to do a leg extension. But some recent research does seem to show that if we do some slight modifications, we can increase the growth of our rectus femoris muscle, one of the muscles of the quad. So the modification is going from a 90-degree angle at the hips, and the trick is leaning back and changing the angle to 40 degrees. That's right, this angle here is more conducive to quad growth. So what's the reasoning behind this? Well, the rectus femoris is what's called a biarticulating or a two-joint muscle, meaning it spans two joints. When you compare that to the vastus lateralis, it only spans one joint. So simply adding a stretch to the hip here can lengthen that muscle and make it more utilized throughout the range of motion, leading to greater amounts of growth. This is my scientific reasoning. I actually don't have evidence to back this up, but that is how other muscles work. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you found some value. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that like button to help this video get pushed out to more people, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.